G'day viewers, welcome to another super cool, super helpful repair video from the Goat Shed, located in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. Today we're going to do a video on the startup procedure and some repairs we did on Jungle Princess. Now, our last video was on a really badly mangled AX relay. This is actually the unit this came out of, or that relay came out of. But before we go on, we should let you know that today is Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. It's 26 degrees Celsius outside, which equates to 78.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to have rather a warm day today. So we'll be probably, into the early 30s by lunchtime. All right, now as I said, everyone probably aware that the AX relay on these Gottliebs games is the reset relay on the later ones. Now, pretty much Gottlieb made a change to the circuitry from 1976, when Spirit of 76 was released, right through to the end of the day. Now, this machine being a two-player game, and like Spirit of 76 or even Jungle Princess's sister is Jungle Queen. It's a four-player game. The only difference in the startup procedure is the fact that a two-player game uses the player unit stacks P3 and P4 to do the reset. P3 resetting player 1 score reels and P4 player 2. Whereas on a four-player game, they use relays in the back. So that's the primary difference. There are some other subtle differences between games. Even in some of these two-player games in the circuitry, there are minor differences with switches and things, and you've really got to be on the ball. Now, what you've got to remember on these games is you see a lot of relays that are burnt out, and the two relays at the front, and we're going to show you these in a moment, are the Q for Queen relay and the U for Uber relay. The latter being the first ball relay, and the former being the game over relay, that is the Q relay. Now, once you power the game on like we've got it sitting there now, those relays are on, and they will both stay on till you start a game. The one that often burns out the most, and we just had this on a Mustang, which we've got out in the back room in the Goat Shed area at the moment, had a burnt out U relay. Now, as I say, it's the one that's on the longest. So when we start a game, they'll relax, and the Q relay will stay relaxed till the end of the game, but the U relay will come on as soon as we score a point and stay on. So that's why that one gets the hottest. Now, why they done this way, like, we're not sure. It was never really like that, but it is now, so we've got to live with it. All right, what we're going to do in a moment, we'll start this game up and we'll get it to do a reset. So when this was presented to us, just to remind you, the AX relay, as you recall from my other video, and if you haven't watched that, you need to watch that video. Go and watch that video now. Turn this one off, watch that video, and come back to this, because you'll learn a fair bit about the AX relay problem. The other thing with this game is that the owner doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it, simply because they're going to loan it or give it to some elderly gentleman, in his prime years, that to give him something to do, just to play a bit of pinball like he did when he was a youth. All right, what we'll do, we'll start the game. So here we go. Graham will start that game for us. Right, so there it goes. It's served a ball and it's ready
Ready to play.
Ready to play. Now, ball one is a light up there in the top. Graham will roll over just a relay. Now, what that's done for us, that's pulled in the OO relay as soon as we score a point. And that's the relay we're talking about that's going to stay on for the whole game. Now, what you've got to remember is that when you're reading the schematic, and we're going to go and point a few things out a little later, that OO relay becomes very important because it's still on at the end of the game. And if it's not, certain things won't happen when you start a new game, and we'll elaborate on that. So let's just lift the playfield up now, and we'll go over and we'll show you a bit about this. Graham's just doing that. All right. Now, here's inside the machine, and we'll just get Graham to point to that OO relay. There.
That one.
So that's the first ball relay, and he'll then point to the Q relay.
This one.
All right. And the AX reset relay is just out of shot at the moment.
Behind, it's pretty well behind.
Straight across from the OO relay.
Yeah, in between them. Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do, I want you to watch those two relays down there in the corner. Everybody watching, okay? We're going to turn the machine on. And you saw them pull in. Turn it off again, Graham. Turn it on. Now, we'll leave it at that. If you get a game, when you power it on, turn it on at the power, this is one of these games from 76 onward, and only one of those relays pulls in, you've got a problem. You've potentially got a burnt out coil. And as I mentioned, it's normally the OO relay that burns out. You do get the Q occasionally, but
that's the most common.
Most common is OO. Yep. And we had one on Mustang. So that's par for the course.
Yep.
Now, when we start the game, a few things are going to happen. We can either press the replay button if we've got credits up. We have this game set in free play, so it's irrelevant. Or you can put a coin in. If you push the replay button, that will activate the V relay, which locks in through a motor switch on motor 2B. If you put the coin in, it actuates the S relay directly without the intervention of the V relay. And it locks in through the same switch 2B and a switch on itself, the S relay. The lock-in switch allows the motor to cycle 120 degrees and keep that relay locked in till 2B opens the circuit and it no longer
then it'll drop out.
Is active. Now, the S relay runs the motor, and then the AX relay pulls in and switches on the U or the OO and S relays. The Q and the U relay will relax when the AX fires. Now, that's all a bit of a mouthful, but in other words, when the AX relay fires, and we're going to do that right now, I want you to keep your eye on the OO and the S. You watch, they'll both relax. See that? And you probably saw the AX relay just to the right of the OO relay pull in. So far, so good. Now, the AX relay, the moment it pulls in, you probably heard the score reels going rat-a-tat-tat. They're resetting the score reels by pulsing off motor switch 1A. So motor switch 1A, it's going to pulse each time it pulses. The motor will keep spinning till that's reset. And that'll go through P3 in this case, or if it was a 4-player game, it would be Z1 for reels 1 and 2, but P4 in this case is for score reel 2, or Z2 for 3 and 4. I hope that makes sense to you on a 4-player game.
Yep.
Now, once all the score reels have reset, the player unit steps and switch 5B, that's the one near the black cam, it'll open. And now the score rails and the player unit are now reset. Because 5B opens, it's a make-break switch, it closes switch 5A. There's only two switches, A and B. And remember, A is the top switch, B is the bottom. The AX and BX relay relax through motor 4A and 4C, through switches on the U and the R relay. Now, this is a lot to take in, I know. All this information I'm telling you is actually in the instruction manual for the Gottlieb game in question. If you want to play an extra player, you'll either press the replay button if you've got a replay up, or insert another coin, and that will fire the CX relay through normally closed switches on the U-S relays, which will start the motor, and 1D motor switch. The 1D motor switch is the one right at the top of 1D. You want to point to 1D for us there, Graham? 1D, there it is there. And that'll do that. Now, how's that for a mouthful? So, what's got to happen now, we're going to fire a ball. We just press the trough switch. And now we can score. And the machine is working as it should. We only played one player. Now, what happened on this game, we had a lot of problems with switches. We believe, in all honesty, that someone at some point in time has used contact cleaner, which is definitely a no-no on these type of games. Do not use it. I know there's different ones out there and you hear different arguments, but by God, we could see little globules of stuff coming off all the switches. We cleaned them and then more had come off. It was obviously sitting on the, it got into the Bakelite and the heat of the game just made it come out. So the AX relay that was faulty in this game wouldn't allow it to reset, and nor would it allow it to allow us to play a game. Now, another problem we had with this game was really, really frustrating. It did all that, what we're up to, but as you saw or heard a minute ago, and Graham will run over something again, the machine is now scoring. Just fire something for us, Graham. We had no power to the play field whatsoever. Now, all the slam switches in the circuit were closed. We followed the circuit and we looked for any breaks in the red and white wire, like you often get this colour wire here. There's a lot to do with power, that one there. Yeah. That's a white red, or white minus red. That's part of the power circuit. We had to chase it all the way through, and we spent a bit of time on this actually. And what it turned out to be was the ball roll tilt switch there. I don't know what's the best way to describe it. The ball roll tilt switch
had a resistance somewhere.
That was faulty. So what we decided to do, we fixed it up and I thought it went and then it failed again.
Yeah.
So what we've decided to do, because we don't use it, you can see there what we've done.
We've just made a junction.
We've just joined them together as a junction, so we won't have any more trouble with that. And we had a bit of trouble with the R relay as well. So that's that white red wire you can see there on the right of the screen. That's part of the power circuit.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to the schematic and talk about a few things, because one thing that did frustrate us for a long while was that every time we started a game, it would go straight to 2-player and it would not subtract a credit off the credit meter. Okay, let's talk about that. All right, now here we are with the schematic, and what we discovered was the reason that the credits wouldn't subtract is in fact the V for Victor relay wasn't pulling in. Remember I said earlier on, when you have credits on the credit meter, you press the credit button, and the V relay should pull in. All right, so it took a little bit to figure out that wasn't happening. We checked the subtract credit circuit and it was all okay. And then we realised the V relay wasn't pulling in. And when you pushed it in manually, it would subtract a credit, and that was good. That's what we wanted. It also fixed, the problem actually also fixed it playing two players at once rather than having to press the button twice. So if we have a look at the circuit here, what we discover is that we've got, just move this over a touch. Here we have the anti-cheat switch. Now, we know this is working because everything else is working up the line. Then we have motor 2B. Now, motor 2B is your lock-in switch that we talked about earlier on for different relays and things. The S relay is one of them, and various others. Also the V replay button relay. Now, what we noticed at first on the V replay button relay was a lot of wires. It's only got three switches, three normally open switches. And remember, viewers, when you see a vertical line like this, that's normally open. When you see two vertical lines with a diagonal through it, that's normally closed. And then when you see a make break, that's drawn on a Gottlieb like this with an arrow going between the two. It's important you understand that. It's also important you understand that the schematics are written with the game reset, the ball served to the shooter lane, and the machine turned off at the power point. You've got to remember that, otherwise you can get caught out. So we thought, right, we've been caught like this before. We saw new solder on the V relay. So there's only three switches. There's an orange and white with a maroon and green on one side. There's a jumper on the orange and white to a blue white on the other, and there's a green minus black and a blue minus yellow on there. They all worked out well. So what we've got to do next, we've got to then sort of start checking the circuit. So we've got to check motor 1C, the slate white and red wire there, and the other colour on that is maroon and green. We've got to check, well, we're closing the replay button and it works, so we're going to assume that's okay. We've got the W relay, a normally closed switch on that. We've got the 0 position replay switch. That's the green minus white and brown minus white wire in the replay unit. We've got a normally closed switch on the CX relay. And then that comes down to the V replay button relay. They all checked out well. I didn't have that there. Once again, coming through there. W, CX. Now, notice something here. Here's your start relay just here. Notice we've got a switch on the V relay onto the start rail. Now, remember we said the game would start, but the start relay would pull in, so it was pulling in okay, but the V relay would not pull in, and it would give us two players. All right, I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Took a little while to find this. It wasn't that obvious. Remember we said about the replay button. Here it is here. We've got a brown wire on one side and orange on the other. And orange comes down to the first coin chute and the second coin chute. It's like the common for those three things. And then they come over and go through to the second chute relay and the start relay up to the V relay. Now, like I said, replay button works. The secret here was the brown wire had been removed. So therefore we had no circuit from here onwards. That's why the V replay wasn't in pulling in. So we had no power from here to here. What had happened, someone in their wisdom had soldered the green wire on the second coin chute relay to the replay button. That's why we were getting two players up, and the start relay was starting without having the intervention of the V replay relay. That took us a while to fix. So someone has made a hack. And of course, when people do things like this, you don't expect it. And, you know, we've got to spend the time fixing it. It's all fixed now. So that was a bit of a trick. Now, just in closing, I want to illustrate something else to you. Remember we were talking about you turn this game on and the U relay pulls in and stays in. The other thing we were having a problem, was potential to a problem. It wasn't a problem, but we could have thought it was, because the U relay wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. There's a switch right here on this part of the circuit that controls resetting of the sequence bank. Got to come right over here. These three things here. Sequence bank, left target bank, and right target bank. They weren't resetting. Well, the reason was that we didn't realise at first. Remember we said as soon as you end a game, the U relay is pulled in. Well, when it's pulled in, remember the schematic is showing the game reset. When the U relay is pulled in, that switch there has to be closed with a red wire on it and a purple wire on it. And because you couldn't score any points, the U relay wasn't pulling in because we had that faulty ball roll switch. Therefore, at startup, no matter what you did, it would not create the circuit to fire any of those coils. That's just something to look out for. Have you got anything to add to this, Graham?
No, only that I think we're very lucky to get it going. Actually, there's a lot wrong with it, especially that AX relay had a lot of issues.
It did.
But persistence, and then we got to the stage where you think about it and you're just over it, so you have a bit of a break, a couple of days off. If you keep going, you sometimes just get over it and you bugger things up. So we suggest if you've got problems that are just looking like it's going to be a nightmare, just sit down and work on another machine for a while, and you'll nut it out eventually.
Yeah, very true. There's the just show the viewers the Mustang that we've just finished. This is pretty well completed and ready to go. Oh, we've got the playfield up at the moment, but we've just had that in for a bit of work.
We've got a couple of buzzing relays we want to run and have a look at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Q and U relay are buzzing a bit. We'll probably pull the armature plates out of them and give them a clean. But that's pretty well ready to go now. And when that goes, the same customer will pick that up.
They're dropping off a golden arrow.
And they're going to drop off a golden arrow. So there's our next job.
Which is another great game.
Oh, absolutely. All right, viewers. If you've watched thus far, thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate your support. And always remember, if you're having problems with the machine, walk away from it. I got a bit frustrated with that Jungle Princess the other day, but came back the next day with a fresh mind, and it proved good. We worked a couple of things out, didn't we?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Remember the old saying, do it once, do it right. And this has been another Goat Shed presentation.